Hello, I'm you're watching AzTV News. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham received Patricia Scotland, Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
Patricia Scotland expressed satisfaction with her visit to Azerbaijan, emphasizing the significance of her trip coinciding with the anniversary of the birth of Heydar Aliyev, the national leader of the Azerbaijani people. Patricia Scotland said that she had visited the graves of the national leader Enzarif Aliyeva, the outstanding ophthalmology scientist and academician, highlighting their contributions to the development of Azerbaijan. Patricia Scotland praised Azerbaijan's successful chairmanship of the non-aligned movement, especially underscoring its significance during the COVID-19 pandemic. She mentioned her participation in the summit of the movement in Uganda, noting that Azerbaijan's chairmanship was highly valued by all member states and yielded practical outcomes. Patricia Scotland once again congratulated President Ilham Aliyev on Azerbaijan's successful chairmanship of the movement. President Ilham Aliyev expressed gratitude for the kind words and hoped that Patricia Scotland would leave the country with positive impressions. The head of state highlighted Azerbaijan's commitment to effective activities within the framework of its chairmanship of the non-aligned movement, emphasizing important steps taken towards the institutional development of the movement. President Ilham Aliyev recalled Azerbaijan's initiative during the pandemic to convene a special session of the UN General Assembly in response to COVID-19, noting the country's assistance to more than 80 countries, especially member states of the non-aligned movement. The president noted that Azerbaijan ensured the adoption of relevant resolutions in UN institutions against vaccine nationalism, emphasizing Azerbaijan's efforts to unite international efforts in the fight against it. President Ilham Aliyev underlined that Azerbaijan's 3-year chairmanship of the non-aligned movement was extended for another year with the support of the member states. President Ilham Aliyev stated that Azerbaijan would apply the international experience gained during the country's presidency of the movement with respect to climate change and continue its efforts in this regard. He also pledged fair treatment to nations affected by climate change. President Ilham Aliyev highlighted the unanimous support received from the international community with regard to Azerbaijan's presidency and hosting of COP29. He mentioned Azerbaijan's being in the troika of chairs of the non-aligned movement and the establishment of a similar mechanism within the COP framework, emphasizing collaboration with the United Arab Emirates and Brazil in advancing COP agendas despite the differing regional locations. The president of Azerbaijan expressed interest in developing relations with the Commonwealth. Patricia Scotland pointed out that 33 member states of the Commonwealth are small island states which are most vulnerable to the negative impacts of climate change, with some even facing existential threats due to climate change. The head of state assured special attention to the challenges faced by small island states and least developed countries during Azerbaijan's COP29 presidency, adding Azerbaijan is ready to contribute to addressing their problems. Discussions were also concerned with joint cooperation projects between Azerbaijan and the Commonwealth and the conduct of dedicated sessions for small island states within the COP29 framework.
Ilham Aliyev, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, received Tofiq Afalani, Governor-General of Tuvalu, Savaleni Seosi Ofaki Vahafoloanu, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Tonga, and Frederick Audley Mitchell, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Wish you blessed day in Azerbaycan.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're glad to see our guests here to discuss important issues related to climate. I'd like to invite you, of course, hope you will be present at the conference, at the opening, and also a good opportunity to talk about our bilateral agenda, how we can work together and how we can support you with respect to this serious challenge of climate. Welcome. Know that you have a big program here in Azerbaijan, a lot of meetings, So I'm sure you will have good impressions when you go back home.
For sure.
Governor General of Tuvalu, Tofiga Falani, addressed the meeting.
Good morning, Mr. President from Tuvalu. I acknowledge with great appreciation the invitation extended to my government Tuvalu. So therefore, my presence here in your beautiful capital Baku is a clear indication of the strong diplomatic relations that your government, Azerbaijan, and my government has established. Mr. President, allow me to submit for your considerations the following requests, which basically covers three broad areas. The number one key priorities for COP29. The operationalization of the loss and damage fund. And then the finalization of the new collective quantified goals on climate finance. Taking bold mitigation actions and recognizing a just and an equitable transition to clean energy. Excellency, to strengthen the diplomatic relations amongst our two nations. Funding an adaptation project in Tuvalu that will allow us to showcase results of that project at COP29. Requesting for a visa waiver between our two countries. Your beautiful and beloved Azerbaijan and my poor country from the small island states of Tuvalu countries. And also we are requesting to your government, Azerbaijan, to provide scholarship to enable our young people with talents to enter your high-level universities and other technical colleges. And the last point, Mr. President, I extend the invitation to Your Excellency, Mr. President, from my government to Your Excellency to come and visit Tuvalu before the COP29. Without further ado, I'd like to say once again, Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Then Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Tonga, Siayosi Ofaki Vafafalao Sovaleni, took the floor.
Mr. President, I'd like to join the Governor General of Tuvalu, deep appreciation for your kind message. And also to extend our sincere gratitude for the hospitality extended not just to myself, but also our delegation, by the people in the government of Azerbaiján. So thank you for that, Mr. President. COP29 is, to us, it's a turning point, should be actually a turning point in how we address issues that are important, not just globally, but more specifically for small island states. As you probably know, Mr. President, climate change doesn't respect borders, doesn't respect whether you're a small country or a big country. It just affected all of us. And I believe, and like to commend Azerbaijan and yourself, specifically Mr. President, for taking on this role. It's not going to be an easy role, but we are here. We will be supporting your leadership and COP presidency in actually finding a way that we can make this COP a little bit more useful. I've attended a lot of COPs, and at times you question yourself whether it's worth coming to, especially when we are all the way on the other side of the world. And so we pleasantly not just surprised, but appreciate the effort to actually engage in small island states, to talk about what can be done at this particular COP here in Azerbaijan. I think that's a very important step forward to actually find out what the vulnerable nations, what should we be looking at, what are the priorities that we should be taking on when we have the COP here in Azerbaijan. So we commend again, the courage and the commitment for the COP29, and we believe by working together, even us small island states, we can make COP29 a success and something that it restores some of the faith that we have in this international forum, whereby we've been talking about climate change for a very long time. For example, the loss and damage was championed by Tuvalu for more than 10 years now. It was only last year that we have some agreement. So we do understand that there is a process involved, but it's taking too long, especially when all of us are actually feeling the effect of climate change. People are talking about it, but some of us are actually experiencing the effect of climate change, especially like sea level rising. I mean, our coastal area, we were looking at pulling them back in because of sea level rising. And to compound it, we have natural disasters. We have very strong cyclones. And then, for example, in the case of Tonga, we had a volcanic eruption and a tsunami. So that kind of pushed back the boundaries of the land, compounded the whole issues that we have with, in terms of coastal protection, which is why we are providing some proposal for discussion by your government and our COP presidency about supporting coastal protection. Our country, I can't speak on behalf of Bahama, but most probably with Tuvalu, we are 99.9% ocean. So very small land, big ocean. We sometimes refer to ourselves as the big ocean state, the port. But the reality is we don't have the resources, we don't have the land mass. So we need to actually protect whatever little land mass that we actually have. In the Pacific, we have every year meetings of the leaders. So we have 18 nations coming together every year in what we call the Forum Leaders Meeting. That's including Australia and New Zealand and 16 other countries in the Pacific. So this year, the leaders will be coming to Tonga for their meeting. And for that, I think I believe, Excellency, it will be a good place if yourself or a representative of Azerbaijan or COP presidency be present to actually present the case for COP29 and get the support of the small island states in the Pacific. We are happy to actually engage with yourself or your representatives in what we believe is important for small island states. Yes, we have, AOCs and what have you under the UN, and we can help push some of the agenda, but it will be an honor to actually host yourself or your representative in Tonga so we can engage directly the leaders of the Pacific. And that will be in August, late August, last week of August. So we certainly look forward for engaging yourself and the COP presidency in the coming few months before the COP meeting here in Azerbaijan. Again, thank you very much, Mr. President, for the invite and for the hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Frederick Odle-Mitchell, also addressed the meeting.
There's an expression that Court of Appeal judges, when they don't want to write a judgment themselves, they say, I've had the advantage of reading the judges and I agree with everything they say. So that's my starting point. I think that the story is the same with each country. And I would simply first like to apologize for the absence of the Honorable Prime Minister, who was on another state visit and so unable to come here on this occasion. But I'm charged with expressing our thanks for you taking on this task, and he's looking forward to coming here in the fall for the COP29. I want to underline in particular the question of activating the funds to support loss and damage, mitigation and adaptation. I was saying to some of your colleagues who welcomed me at the airport that I can see a seawall in the Bahamas named after your country once you actually put the money behind it. I was really fascinated by the seawall along the Caspian Sea. And of course, the Caspian Sea is something I've heard about from a child, so it's a fascinating interval for me to be able to actually stand by it and see it. But the more serious point is that as a result of these tropical cyclones that the Prime Minister talked about, we lost about 30% of GDP with one storm 5 years ago, still recovering from it. And mitigation and adaptation is going to mean the massive construction of seawalls, which is going to take. And one of the difficulties we have, the Bahamas and the Caribbean as a whole, is the fact that we are considered high-income countries and people don't take into account the vulnerabilities which cause extreme events that cause damage, and then the question of not being able to access funding at concessional rates. So we've been on a campaign trying to get that changed in the international financial institutions as well. So on a bilateral level, we have had diplomatic relations with your country since May of 2017. We are now proposing that we carry that one step further and will propose shortly a non-resident ambassador in the first instance. And then secondly, we have before your foreign ministry a proposal for a visa abolition agreement, which we have with several countries. We think that that's an appropriate step to move relations closer. So once again, I just want to underline the seriousness of this. Our Prime Minister calls this issue existential. The Bahamas has 80% of its land within 1 meter of the sea. The highest point is 206 feet above sea level, so not very high. There is a slide which the Explorers Club in New York showed me when I spoke there in the margins of the UNGA last year. The slide shows what the capital city of Nassau and its island would be like in the year 2070 if we do not reverse this problem. 30% of the island will be underwater, and by 2100, 70% will be underwater. So that's what our Prime Minister means by existential. We hope, therefore, that this visit concretizes the understanding of the issue and the support of the issue, and that we can move forward together in trying to address this. But once again, underlining the question of the funding for loss and damage and mitigation. I thank you again for the visit. My apologies on behalf of the Prime Minister, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in the months ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for visiting us. It's a good opportunity to talk about our bilateral agenda and also our issues related to COP29. We've been assigned with this mission by unanimous decision of almost 200 countries, and this is a sign of respect to Azerbaijan and also a sign of the understanding that we can deliver results. As you know, we've been chairing non-aligned movement for 4 years, also elected with a unanimous decision, and when we handed over our chairmanship to Uganda, we already created a substantial legacy of tangible results, institutional development, and also supporting countries which needed support during the difficult times of COVID, and also bringing this issue on the highest possible level a special session of General Assembly of UN was organized by our initiative. And now when we are chairing COP29, we look at it from a practical point of view. We know that there have been a lot of discussions with respect that there is a lot of talks, but not many results. Our position always was very practical and pragmatic, and we want to deliver results. And the most important topic which will be discussed during the conference is finance. So we're actively working on allocation of financing in order to deal with this issue. But also we understand that for some countries climate change is a problem, but for some countries it's a matter of their existence. We clearly understand it. And helping small island states for us is something which we consider as our moral duty. So we can promise you that the issue of small island states and their support, their protection will be in the center of discussions. We, as a chair, as the president of COP29, will bring it to the spotlight. We are suggesting, and also in consultations with other small island states, to convene a high-level meeting of high representatives during COP. And also, we're already discussing with some partners what can be a practical and financial contribution to support small island states. Because, as I said, as we all know, everybody is suffering from change of climate, including Azerbaijan. We have less, you have more water, we have less water. We have droughts, you have problem of sea covering your surface. But every country is facing problem, but you are facing existential threat. And those countries which contributed largely to global warming should not ignore the interests and day-to-day life demands of countries which are suffering from that. You did not contribute to global warming. We did not contribute. Our contribution is probably 0.1. But we are suffering, but you are suffering more. So I can once again assure you that we will not only talk, but we will act, and we will work with our partners in order to provide for you maximum tangible support as a result of COP29. And as far as we are concerned, we are ready to financially contribute.
A further 38 mines and 358 unexploded ordnance were discovered in the territories that have been liberated from occupation. The weekly report of ANAMA reported 6 anti-personnel and 32 anti-tank mines, as well as 358 unexploded ordnances were discovered in Tərtər, Ağdam, Ağdərə, Laçın, Füzuli, Şuşa, Xocalı, Xankəndi, Kəlbəcər, Xocavənd, Cəbrayıl, Qubadlı, and Zəngilan. A total of 880 hectares of territory have been cleared. The next tasks of the Anatolian Phoenix 2024 International Search and Rescue Exercise have been completed. Our country is represented at the exercise held in Konya by the parachute and search and rescue teams of the Air Force, as well as by the aviation and special forces of the Navy. According to the exercise plan, the parachute and search and rescue teams successfully carried out the following activities: search for a crashed crew member behind enemy lines, on-site interrogation and evacuation. The exercise will continue until 17 May. Azerbaijan is proud to host COP29, according to COP29 chief negotiator and Deputy Foreign Minister Yalcin Rafiev at a seminar training on building trust and capacity in the preparation of biennial transparency reports. He highlighted that the decision to hold COP29 in Azerbaijan was driven by the belief in the potential of international collaboration to address complex global challenges. We are aware of the responsibility that comes with this. At the same time, we recognize the interconnected nature of climate issues and believe that through global cooperation and dialogue, effective solutions can be found collectively. It should be noted that the training workshop on building trust and unlocking potential in the preparation of biennial transparency reports has commenced in Baku as part of Azerbaijan's chairmanship of COP29. You can get in touch with us through our WhatsApp and Telegram accounts at 051 511 1956, through which you can report events you encountered, as well as share suggestions and remarks. That was all for the day. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye.